Que hola, soy Román González, le mando un saludo a todos los fans, bendiciones, cuídense.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and this is the story of Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. This was one of the biggest fights in the history of boxing. I mean, it really don't get too much bigger than this. 1987, Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. It was a tale of two fighters. You had Sugar Ray Leonard, the golden boy of boxing back then, pretty much. He had won the gold medal in the Olympics. He was the clean-cut, soft-spoken, marketable fighter. He was every promoter's dream. Flashy, in the ring, nice guy outside the ring, and pretty much had everything you'd want going for a top-level fighter at that time. Marvin Hagler didn't start his career off as an Olympic champion. He didn't have the big promoter. What Marvin Hagler had he was basically in his career. He started off just as a regular run-of-the-mill middleweight. For the first 5 or 6 years of his career, Marvin Hagler was considered to be, just a whatever fighter, a club fighter. He wasn't even really supposed to be a champion. He wasn't. It took a while before people really got on the Marvin Hagler bandwagon, so to speak. But in 1987, these two warriors, these two great fighters, they finally had a chance to meet. Caesar's Palace, 1987, Las Vegas, and it was a tremendous fight. Obviously, very controversial for many boxing fans. A lot of people thought Hagler won the fight. A lot of people thought Leonard won the fight. I'll get into my thoughts on that later. But in this video right here, I wanted to give you guys just it'll be a film study, of a couple rounds of the fight that I thought were interesting, and just what I saw in those rounds, very key rounds in the fight. So those rounds are rounds 1, 2, 4, 9, 11, and 12, I believe. That's what I have right here. Yeah, so about 6 rounds roughly. So, yeah, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard. For those of you who are old enough to remember, I hope you enjoy the video. And for the young ones, hopefully I can, bring some attention to this great fight, because that's exactly what it was. It was a fantastic fight between two guys who were so different and viewed so differently in the sport of boxing now. Right now, what you guys are going to see, it's going to be round one. Round one of Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, this is an interesting round right here because, as you're going to see, Marvin Hagler, right off the jump, decides to start boxing out of the orthodox stance, and he's traditionally a southpaw fighter. So right here, this round is very interesting because this is a round where a lot of people felt Hagler already began to give the fight away. And, when you got a guy like Leonard who was coming off a 5-year layoff and was pretty much looked at as a sacrificial lamb, you can't give him this sort of hope. And then you see right there, Sugar Ray Leonard letting a couple of combinations go. And you can already see, he's not as quick out of the south orthodox stance. He gets out quicker in the southpaw stance. His jab is a lot more effective out of the southpaw stance. And what he's effectively done here is he's allowing a guy who had a lot of ring rust, no tune-up fights, to kind of just feel his way into the fight. And you see him using lateral movement, stepping to his left, just jabbing to the stomach. And it's giving him a chance to just feel out Marvin Hagler, because it's one thing to watch the guy ringside for all these years because he was a commentator. Here in this round, you see him finally seeing what he has in front of him. Then you see right there, he lets a nice little 3-punch combination go. Marvin Hagler trying to feint his way in there, but as you can see, you guys see later on, he's not as effective in the southpaw stance. His jab is a lot more effective, and he's able to cut distance a lot easier when he fights out of the southpaw stance. So Sugar Ray Leonard, pretty much just in this round right here, and then I believe the second round as well, he was able to dictate the pace. He was able to sit on the outside. Good feint right there by Sugar Ray. Good lateral movement. You see, he's changing the way he moves really, really well. He's not moving at the same speed, so it's becoming harder for Hagler, who's already fighting in his second best stance, to kind of time Sugar Ray. And you get the sense right here, Sugar Ray he came to fight. 5-year layoff or no 5-year left, he came to fight. Hagler now, about halfway through the round begins to switch southpaw, and then you see already he's chopping into the body really well, and he's already finding some success there. So, just kind of a head scratcher, honestly. But just look at the way he even postures at Leonard. Look at him. He just, even though he didn't win that exchange right there, he's finding more success in moving towards Leonard, out of the southpaw stance. So he kind of gave away the first round. And then you got Leonard moving backwards here. See, he's not throwing a lot of punches, but that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted the ability to set the pace of this fight early on. Actually, for the whole fight, because he's not gonna out brawl Marvin Hagler. So round one was a great round for Ray Leonard because, as you guys saw, it was a round where he made it very apparent. He said before the fight, he said, I have to win round one, plain and simple. I have to win round one to get Hagler's respect. And it was just an utter mess. It was an utter mess. But Leonard, in that mess, was able to display that he was the ring general with his feints, lateral movements, combinations, and there was no vicious shots landed, but the cleaner shots. No, not the cleaner shots, but I'm saying that nobody really landed any vicious shots in that round. But the round was controlled by Leonard's lateral movement, by Leonard's just ability to set the pace. And right then and there, you can see he's at least getting Marvin Hagler's respect. So we're going to go into round two, which is a round where finally, Hagler realizes that he can't fight in the southpaw stance against Ray Leonard. And in this round, let's see, actually, no, right here, he comes out in the orthodox stance. So he's in the orthodox stance. He gets caught right there. Good left hook there by Hagler, but at some point in this round, I remember watching, he's going to switch back to southpaw. So, a big criticism of a lot of people of Hagler in this fight was that he gave away the first two rounds. And as you can see, he, for whatever reason, he just doesn't move as naturally well when he's fighting in the orthodox stance. He's good. I mean, he can do that against other fighters, but this is Ray Leonard we're talking about here. This is a generational talent. And, Ray Leonard right there shoots a nice right hand to the body. See, right, this round right here, I remember this round really well. In this round, in round two, you had Ray Leonard, who was, you guys are going to see as the round progresses, he begins to really dominate the clinches. There's a clinch, and then boom, see? That might not have landed, but he's at least punching his way out the clinches, and it gives the illusion that he's the general on the inside. And Hagler came out very frustrated in this round, as you can see. It's a good job there by Ray Leonard. Then he ties him up, right? And then Hagler has a hard time getting his hands free because Ray Leonard's doing a good job of tying him up. And I believe that this is very deliberate by Ray Leonard. And right there, a good left hook. He's able to set the pace. He's able, even out of those clinches, he can think ahead and figure out where he wants to move in that ring. And there you see, he darts. He's like a bunny. He darts in, darts out. And he's confusing Hagler. And this is a round where, it's already half the round has gone by, and Hagler is still boxing out of the orthodox stance. So, when I had watched this fight for the first time, I was very just perplexed as to why he did this. It cost him the fight. It really did. Good right hand there by Ray Leonard. See, and then immediately he ties him up, and what that does is when Ray Leonard touches you with a 1-2 and then he ties you up, you're a Hagler, you're a guy who like to fight as a workman. You like to throw a lot of punches, put pressure on your opponents. That breaks your rhythm, and as you guys can see, he doesn't really look comfortable in there. Obviously because he's boxing out of the orthodox stance, and because Ray Leonard's breaking his rhythm. And then now you see Ray Leonard's picking him apart from the outside. See, now it's there's 20 seconds left, and now Hagler's finally switched to the southpaw stance. Honestly, the confidence isn't there, and the damage has been done. Ray Leonard's going to win this round, and he's going to win it rather soundly. So already, Ray Leonard's putting 2 rounds in the bank, and Hagler, the prohibited favorite, is already experiencing a hard time in the ring with Mr. Sugar Ray Leonard. So 2-0 Ray Leonard. The second round, man, just a better version of Ray Leonard in this round. Hagler was stubborn. He wanted to try to outbox Leonard. And as a result of that, he got bullied in most of those exchanges on the inside. from left hooks, right hands. Leonard dominated those exchanges pretty much, punching his way out of the clinches, and yeah, 2-0 Ray Leonard. So we're gonna go to round what is it, 4? We're gonna go to round 4. So yeah, 2-0 Ray Leonard so far. Not looking good for the marvelous one, Marvin Hagler. All right, so round 4. Hagler is beginning to work his way back into the fight. He's now realized that he needs to box out of that southpaw stance exclusively. Good left hook there by Marvin Hagler. But see, as you can see, Marvin Hagler is beginning to cut that distance. He's feinting. He's trying to press the action, and Ray Leonard is still doing a good job of moving. But see, it's harder for Ray Leonard to get off cleaner punches because Hagler is just a better fighter out of this stance. He can roll the punches better. He's still missing, but it's harder for Ray to get off what he wants to get off with. You see what I'm saying? So Ray Leonard ties him up right there. It's a good tie up there. But see, Marvin Hagler's got that hand free. He's still going to the body. See, Ray Leonard's having a hard time. But he's still controlling the round. Despite having a harder time, he's still controlling the round with his feet and being able to break the rhythm of Hagler by tying him up. See, good body shot there by Mr. Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, this is an interesting round. I think it's coming up soon. He does a bolo punch and hits this dude square in his nuts. That was pretty interesting. But that should be coming up soon. See, 4 rounds, great lateral movement from Sugar Ray Leonard. Hagler still stalking him. Hagler still trying to make something happen to this fight. But see, Ray Leonard, just with the fantastic lateral movement to just dictate what's going on in this round. Good jab there by Marvin Hagler. About 1 minute and 20 seconds left in this round. See, good jab there on the outside by Leonard. Leonard's keeping him at bay. He's keeping him at bay this round with his feet, with his jab, with his punches. Hagler's doing a better job of jabbing his way on the inside, but it's a round that he's still losing. But he's working his way back into the fight, and there you go. See, now Marvin Hagler is beginning to fight like Marvin Hagler. He's beginning to go to that body. He's beginning to really put it on Sugar Ray Leonard, slowly but surely. And you're gonna see that. There you go. There's the bolo punch. There's the bolo punch. Homeboy just gave him like a Andre Ward on steroids bolo punch. And it's like stuff like that. He showed a blatant lack of respect for Marvin Hagler, and it was a clear message sent that, hey, I'm here to win. I'm here to win. You may be the best middleweight in the world. You may be this, maybe that. I may be kind of fire really up, but I'm here to win. And then you see he's letting those hands go, and he's giving Marvin Hagler hell on earth in the 4th round. Marvin Hagler still having his moments, but Leonard's feet, Leonard's ring generalship, Leonard's just ability to control the round despite not landing, a ton of vicious shots. He's still controlling the round, and he's neutralizing Hagler in this instance. So at this point, I had it 3-1. Okay, so going into round 5, I had Leonard up 3 rounds to 1. He'd just been able to control the fight with his lateral movement, and it's just like ring generalship thus far. But it was around this point in the fight where Hagler was gonna start really fighting like himself. He was going to wake up. He was going to snap out of it. But here's a look at that bolo punch again. He says, shwomp, right there in his nut. That was crazy. I mean, that's just lack of respect from Sugar Ray Leonard. But, I mean, I guess he saw it as a necessary evil to get the job done. And that's what he did. But, yeah, now in this round right here, Hagler begins to finally establish who he is as a middleweight, that he is the best middleweight in the world. And you begin to see him kind of fight like himself. And that's what he didn't have in those early rounds. He wasn't fighting like himself. So we're going to get into round 5 of Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler here on True School Sports. Marvin Hagler in the southpaw stance already comes out, and he threw a couple nice body shots there. And now you see he's beginning to put on that intelligent pressure, doubling up on the left hook. And you see Leonard, you're going to see Leonard as the fight wears on, just kind of, he's going to move away from Hagler, and a lot of punches he's going to be throwing are out of desperation, not to hurt him. See, now he's in that orthodox stance, but then he switches back to southpaw. See, Hagler. The way he's cutting the distance now, it's just a whole different ball game now. He's making the fight way different, way more in his favor. Good right hook there by Hagler. See, and the difference in every round Hagler did good in, like this round right here, right? You see him jabbing his way inside. You see him landing the jab. You see him just focused on jabbing. Everything else comes second. But he's finally beginning to realize the importance of that jab here in this round. And even in the clinches, right now that it's crazy. Now that he's fighting the southpaw, I guess it's his natural stance, so he feels better in that stance. And you see him, some of these jabs are landing, some of these are grazing shots, some of these aren't landing. But you just see him, you get the sense that he's doing better in this round. And even though he missed that left hook there, Leonard jumped on him, but he couldn't stay on him because Hagler is he's landing shots now. And anytime Leonard got touched with that power, as you guys can see, he'll stay there, he'll throw a nice 3-punch combination like he just did there, but he's not going to stay there in exchange with Hagler. And the more Hagler landed, the less he would sit there in exchange. Hagler's still pressing the action. See that? Still landing some nice shots on the inside. Sugar Ray Leonard, man. Sugar Ray Leonard is now fighting the Marvin Hagler. Good. See, now, like, you're noticing, too, another thing, too. Now that he's beginning to throw that jab more, you're seeing the ring get cut off just a bit more. You see him on the ropes. And then you see, boom, he mixes it. Once he stood there, he threw the uppercut. And then now you see Leonard, I should say, is hurt. He is hurt, and he's a bit staggered. And it's a completely different fight now. It's a much, much different fight. And it's a much, much different fighter when Hagler is focused on that jab, when Hagler is cutting that distance, and when Ray Leonard is spending all that time on the ropes. And this is where you begin to see the pressure bust the pipes. Those punches that he's throwing, Hagler's walking right through them. And we now have a fight in our hands. A truly great fight. A classic, I would even venture to say. So he won that round. It's 3-2 on my. I had a 3-2 on my scorecard because I had my scorecard from when I watched it earlier. I had a 3-2 in favor of Leonard at this point. We're gonna actually go to round 9. So in going into round 9, I actually had an even fight. I had 4 rounds apiece, and round 9 is what I believe to be Hagler's best round of the entire fight. So we're gonna go to that, and 4-4 going into round 9 for the marvelous one, Marvin Hagler. All right, so round 9 was a great round for Marvin Hagler. This is a round where he really staked his claim. I think this is probably the best round of the fight. You see him already pressing the action, and there you see it right there. That's the difference right there. Like a good jab that's driving Leonard back, and it's forcing him to think of where he has to move to next. But it doesn't really matter because Hagler is showing, and with his defense being tighter, and with just like his ability to catch and shoot a lot of these punches, he's showing the ability to walk through these punches, and he's putting a lot of mental pressure on Sugar Ray Leonard. So you see, like, he's keeping that right hand in his face, and then he's shooting to the body. Albeit that was a low blow, he's shooting to that body, and it's consistent in this round. It was probably his most consistent round from start to finish, I would venture to say. In these clinches, as Ray Leonard's holding, he's not able to hold Hagler's hands as easy as he was earlier. He's losing a lot of these exchanges on the inside. And now you see, because of the consistent work to the body from other previous rounds that won Hagler rounds, Ray Leonard, it's harder for him to move. And even right there, like a couple nice body shots were landed right there. So Hagler still pressing the action. Boom. 1-2. 2 pieces in the biscuit, and then he goes downstairs right here. Boom, boom. And then Marvin Hagler, this is his fight. Getting Leonard on the ropes, keeping him on the ropes, and he's varying his punch selection. You see him throwing jabs, you see him throwing uppercuts, and it's only 90 seconds in. And we're only 90 seconds in, and he's able to just dominate the round. And this is a round where it looked like Leonard wasn't going to get stopped until this part right here where he throws a nice shoe shine combination to get off the ropes. Kind of questionable from Richard Steele there to yell at Hagler because it looked like he was doing well. But it is what it is. Good body shots there by Marvin Hagler. And again, a lot of people in the crowd were oohed and awed by the eye-catching shots of Leonard, but a lot of them were blocked. And was Hagler, who was just an effective counterpuncher, jabbing his way inside, dictating the pace of the fight, the way in which the fight was fought. And it was crazy because like right here at this point in the round, I remember the commentary, they're saying, oh, he's having a hard time getting off. But when you turn the sound down and you actually watch, he's the fresher of the two fighters, and he's the one putting more punishment on his opponent. And Sugar Ray Leonard, look, these punches right here, this is what I'm talking about. These are punches out of desperation. And you see like Richard Steele jumping in there, finally breaking it up. There you go, Richard. Okay. 23 seconds left. Marvin Hagler walking right through the punches. Right through the punches. It doesn't really matter what Leonard is throwing. He's just walking right through them. And it's that jab, man. It's a jab that's keeping him right there. And see, those right there, those are the desperation punches I'm talking about. But in this round, Marvin Hagler dictated who he was and probably the most dominant round of the entire fight. All right, so now we're going to head to the 11th round. Those championship rounds of Hagler versus Leonard were very, very controversial. And I actually, these are very controversial for me as well. But up until this point, I actually had Hagler up 6-4 going into the 11th round. I just thought from after those first two rounds, I felt like he really settled in and he was able to control the most of the fight. Leonard was doing good work, but I felt like a lot of his punches and movement were just out of desperation, not to actually hurt Hagler or control Hagler, because I could see a clear difference between when he was controlling Hagler as to when he actually threw those arm punches out of desperation. You see what I'm saying? So round 11 and 12, these are the rounds where Leonard really had the crowd behind him. He was basically fighting on the sentiment of the crowd. People were cheering his name because he wasn't expected to survive this long with Hagler. And we'll get into that later. But round 11, Sugar Ray Leonard trying to stake his claim and earn that undisputed middleweight heavyweight crown from Marvin Hagler after a 5-year layoff, which is unheard of in boxing history. He comes out here and he just starts using his legs more. Hagler is still pressing the action, and you can see Marvin Hagler really wants this. And Marvin Hagler is the one making the fight. Marvin Hagler, although albeit thus far in the round hasn't landed really that many clean, effective punches, he's landing stuff. So Leonard, you can see, just trying to pick his shots. As you can see right there, he telegraphed that left hook and landed some nice shots there. But he's at the point where he's picking his shots now, and he knows he can do it because Hagler spent so much time in those rounds earlier throwing a barrage of punches. But see, now Hagler's beginning to settle in, and he's landed a series of jabs, and it's making his life a lot better. And then there's some body shots and a grazing left hand to the face for Hagler. Leonard, again, another shoe shining combination, nothing doing there. Good jab there by Hagler. And you can notice, too, every time Hagler lands that jab, you see Leonard get driven back a little bit. Blocked. That was blocked by Hagler. That was blocked. Not really a shot that landed there for Hagler. But you see, the way he's cutting distance, he doesn't get discouraged, too, because sometimes Leonard will make a miss, but you still see Hagler in there moving his hands. See, look, these punches look nice and they look crisp, but guess what? They didn't land. He's doing the bolo punches, and you can see, too, by the way he's breathing. Look at Leonard, the way he's breathing. You can tell the pressure is having an effect on him. And most of what he's doing in this round is out of sheer desperation. Hagler and him are talking to each other. Again, another combination that really didn't do much. Hagler landed a simple jab that drove him back. And now, see, Leonard's playing to the crowd because he got the crowd on his side. But he ain't throwing no punches back. And he's making Hagler. You gotta keep in mind, he's making Hagler miss some of these shots, and he's not countering off of them. Generally speaking, if you make somebody miss, you make them pay. Now that's probably the first real combination he landed the whole round, that double hook. But in this round, he's telegraphing most of what he's throwing because he's so spent from the pressure Hagler put on him. And then you see that jab driving back and nothing doing for Sugar Ray Leonard. So Sugar Ray Leonard spent in the 11th round because Marvin Hagler's been putting an immense amount of pressure on him and doing a good number on that body. So I gave Hagler this round, and I had Hagler up 7-4. Good shoe shine combination at the end, but just not much doing for Sugar Ray Leonard. So we're going to go into the very controversial 12th round that people have lots of opinions about. This is a round where Sugar Ray Leonard pretty much, I hate to say this because Sugar Leonard is a great fighter, but in this round here, it kind of, to me, it exemplified everything kind of wrong with boxing. You had him dancing, prancing, and he's already raising his arms up before the 12th rounds even started, like he's won. But in reality, he knows that Marvin Hagler, the pressure he's putting on him, and the punches that Marvin Hagler's landed, it far outweighs the shoe shining combinations that look good but aren't doing anything. It really was just fool's gold from Sugar Ray Leonard. But that's just the way I've seen this fight. I know there's plenty of people that think otherwise. I think Hagler, I think those combinations were great, but I didn't see anything from Hagler to believe otherwise. He kept pressing forward. He never looked hurt. The only guy that looked hurt in this fight at all was Ray Leonard. And we go to the 12th round. They both embrace. They both shake hands before the round starts. And 12th round, Leonard versus Hagler. Right there, Hagler lands already 2 left hooks to the head of Leonard. Leonard on his toes, just trying to feel his way out to the round box. But Hagler is the one who's landed anything so far. Marvin Hagler cuts the distance. That didn't really land, but Leonard said something to him. See, the thing is too, this is one of those things. Like, I guess I say it today because a lot of fighters don't get credit for body work, but I guess even back then a lot of fighters didn't get credit for body work because Hagler's body work in this fight for me was, I thought after those first 2 rounds, his body work was pretty damn good in this fight, and it was a massive reason why Leonard was so gassed out. He landed in a good left hand there earlier. Look how I pushed Leonard to the ropes, and just, although there's not much of those punches because they're both spent, Leonard just threw like a 15-punch combination, and I swear to God, like only 2 or 3 of them landed. But the judges, that impressed the judges. So, the crowd is on their feet. They're chanting Sugar Ray. And then now, look, literally, let's count how many seconds he's not throwing a punch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But basically about 8 or 9 seconds, Leonard just did your drill that you do in a boxing gym, just circled the ring and didn't engage with Marvin Hagler. But Hagler is the one that's landed anything of real significance in this round. And he look cuts that ring off again. Ray Leonard's throwing these shoe shining combinations that look good but aren't doing anything because he's smothered. Leonard's waving at the crowd, doing the Ali shuffle like it's 1966, and he's the crowd's behind him. Shout out to him. He knew how to play the crowd. He used it to his advantage, but doesn't take away from the fact that Marvin Hagler was the one doing the better work. And round 12 was coming to a close. It was a big fight. Marvin Hagler. See, look. Another 6-punch combination, but nothing was really landed there. Not really that many punches of that combination landed for Leonard, and that's when you score rounds, there's ineffective aggression, and I feel like when he actually was trying to be aggressive, it was ineffective. But Hagler, as you can see, he's pushing him back, and he's landing some good shots on him. So you got to credit that over the eye-catching shots that don't land at all. But it was the conclusion of the fight, and I'll let you guys hear the decision and all that stuff. So we'll go to that coming up. Good fight.
Ready scores 115, 113. By the winner, by a split decision, and new middleweight champion of the world.
With Marvin Hagler and at ringside. We'll try and get Ray over here. While we're waiting for Ray, Marvin, I know you're incredibly disappointed. What's your feeling about the decision?
I beat him, and he knows it, and everybody knows. I knew it was too close. I told you about Vegas. No way about it, you know.
Marvin, he also said that you had K&O in your right hands. You hoped it wouldn't go this far.
Well, you know, I figured I was beating him good, you know. Oh, geez.
Now, how about the first 2 rounds? Gil and I thought that you really gave away the first couple of rounds by boxing in the orthodox style.
I stayed aggressive. I took everything he had. I made him fight. Come on, I won the fight.
Well, I know you're tremendously disappointed, but it was a tremendous show, Marvin. This was more than anybody ever expected in terms of a great championship fight.
They stole it, you know.
Will you come back? Will there be more for you, Marvin?
The way I feel.
Will you consider another fight with this one being so close?
Not with that. No, I don't think with that. I have to talk about it. I have to think about it.
All right, so the way I scored this fight was quite simple. I scored 8 rounds for Marvin Hagler. I thought Ray Leonard, I thought for him to come off of a 5-year layoff with the retina issue, with the eye issues he had, with just basically like fighting the best middleweight in the world, arguably the best middleweight in the history of boxing, to come off a 5-year layoff, fight that guy, and give the account he gave of himself, I thought it was very admirable. But he just wasn't able to. He wasn't able to really hurt Marvin Hagler. He wasn't able to hurt Marvin Hagler. He wasn't able to kind of just like control enough rounds to win the fight. Like, I don't know where people get off saying he won this fight, and I think it's an absolute travesty, that Marvin Hagler did not get this decision, because it was supposed to be for him the cherry on top to what's been a career that he worked very hard to get. This guy was never really appreciated when he was fighting. For 6 years, he wasn't even looked at as a world champion. He had 40 or 50 fights before people really even wanted to say he was a good fighter. It wasn't until he really beat Tommy Hearns that he really got his just due. When he finally won his world title, when he fought on Ray Leonard's undercard in 1979, and he got robbed against Vito and to Fermo. Then when he finally won the title against Alan Minner, when he won his title against Alan, he actually won the title against Alan Minner before. Was it before or after? No, it was before. So he had the draw against Vito. Then he fought Alan Minter in England, and he finally won a world title after what? How many fights was it? It was roughly like 40 or 50 fights or whatever it was. He had quite a lot of fights under his belt before he beat Alan Minter. And then when he beat Alan Minter, he had all the beer cans thrown at him. So he pretty much had to grind his way from the mud, and he went on one of the greatest middleweight title runs ever. He beat the likes of Roberto Duran, beat the likes of Tommy Hearns, and then he finally gets the fight that he wanted so badly back in 1982 against Sugar Ray Leonard. And then when he finally gets it, he gets robbed. He gets robbed in one of the worst ways possible. And, it's funny because I met Marvin Hagler, as you guys can see in this picture. It's me and Marvin Hagler back in 2016 at the WBC convention. I met Marvin Hagler, and he was nice to me, but you can see there's a general, in his heart of hearts, he still walks around with a lot of anger, and I know that a lot of it is towards boxing because he really did it the honest way. Like, Marvin Hagler did it the honest way, and he never really seemed to get his just due. He didn't get his just due when he first became champion. Then when he actually became champion, okay, he had a little bit of time where people appreciated him for what he was. But then when Sugar Ray came calling, and, he won the title in a manner in which he wasn't in there. Let's call a spade on True School Sports. He wasn't in there to... Sugar Ray Leonard was not in there to really beat Marvin Hagler. He was in there to survive. The same way, Andre Ward was in the first Kovalev fight. I hate to bring it up, but it was basically the same thing. He got credit for surviving. He got credit for the, just the sentiment of it all. Just for the sentimental feeling he brought people. The fact that he came off a 5-year layoff and was able to survive Marvin Hagler, he got credit for that. And I think that was wrong because it robbed boxing fans of the truth, which is the fact that Marvin Hagler is a better middleweight than Sugar Ray Leonard, and Marvin Hagler deserved to get that decision. So, ultimately, Marvin Hagler was my dad's favorite fighter. So, ultimately, if it wasn't for Marvin Hagler, I probably wouldn't even like boxing, to be honest with you. But aside from that, it just kind of sucks because the guy, there really are a few fighters who have done it the honest way, and this man did it the honest way. Leonard could have fought him in 1982 when Marvin was in his prime, because I believe when they both fought, I think Marvin was like 32 when they fought. So he could have fought Marvin in his prime back in '82. You know, he had the retina issues, and then then he had that big gala ceremony where they had an announcement, and he pretty much made it seem like he was going to fight Hagler. Then he retired. Then he came back and he fought that one guy. I can't remember his name right now, but he fought that one guy in an exhibition. I don't know if it was an exhibition, but he fought that one journeyman fighter who like stopped him in the 9th round or something, or knocked him down in the 9th round. I think he got the W, but he didn't look that good in that fight. Then he had a retirement again. And then it wasn't until when Marvin fought John Mugabe that he got the balls to actually fight Marvin Hagler. And then when he fought Marvin Hagler, he didn't really fight Marvin Hagler because he fought in a manner, and I'm not mad at the fact that I'm not mad against people who want to fight that style where they want to box and whatnot. But my thing is, if you're fighting for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world against one of the all-time greats in boxing history, and that's what he was at that time as well. You know, he was on one of the all-time great runs. He was only 2 title defenses from tying the record, really. And I just feel like if you're gonna take the title from that guy, you got to do much more than Ray Leonard did that night. And I think it really sucks because, you know, Leonard got the decision in that fight, not because he beat Hagler. He got the decision in that fight simply because he was the clean-cut, marketable fighter that, you know, came off a 5-year layoff and survived 12 rounds. That's why he got the decision. And Hagler wasn't the glamour. He wasn't the glamour child, and he was, you know, he was pretty much just he wasn't the golden boy of boxing. He was a great fighter, like many great fighters have been, but he wasn't the golden boy of boxing, and that's why he didn't get the decision. And I think even I didn't even grow up in that era, so I wasn't even born. But to go back and watch it, to learn about Marvin Hagler, the things he overcame to even get to that point and go on one of the greatest middleweight runs of all time, for them to kind of just like not give him the credit he deserves in that moment and not give him the decision that he earned. Because I think that you cannot tell me there's 6 rounds in that fight. I've watched it. You can't tell me there's 6 rounds in that fight that Sugar Leonard won. And if you do, I mean, I really have to, I hate to say this. I really hate to say that. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I mean, come on. It's the sport of boxing. It's the sport of punching, and it's like, okay, it's the sport of punching. So the guy who does the more effective punching through 12 rounds or 10 rounds or 8 rounds or however long the fight is, that's the guy that should win the fight. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the guy who was the more cleaner and effective puncher, harder puncher, vicious puncher in this fight was Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And he didn't get the decision because of Ray Leonard's marketability and how much people liked him outside the ring. And I just think it's wrong because he's never going to get his full. I mean, obviously people recognize Marvin Hagler as a great fighter, but he's never going to get his full just due. And to this day, because I got a chance to see Marvin, I'm going to say 3 times, because the WBC convention in 2016 was 3 days. And I saw him all 3 days I was there. And all 3 days I saw him, you know, he was there. They invited him. You know, he was nice. He took a picture of me, as you guys can see on the screen right now. But the whole time he was there, he didn't want to do no interviews. He didn't want to do nothing, because you can tell he's just still mad about it. And I don't think we'll ever not be mad about it, because like I said, man, he had so much struggle to just become a champion, and then he didn't even want to fight Leonard because Leonard didn't want to fight him for like 5 or 6 years, but then he agreed to because the people and the media put the pressure on him, and then he got robbed. And you guys saw in the post-fight interview just how he was, and you can kind of see that he was just done with boxing. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but, you know, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, in my opinion, probably the greatest middleweight of all time. I'd put him over. I would definitely rank him higher than Bernard Hopkins. I think his resume was better than Hopkins. I think he beat better fighters than Hopkins. I think he was more entertaining than Hopkins. You know, Carlos Monzon, I'd even give him the edge over Carlos Monzon, and I definitely think he's better than Triple G. As much as I like Triple G, I definitely give him the edge over Triple G. So that's my take on the fight. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a great fight. I don't want to take anything away from Sugar Ray Leonard because he is a great fighter. I just think that we talk about fairness a lot in the world and in boxing, and this was one of those times where it really wasn't fair. You know, Marvin should have got the decision, and I'm sticking to that. I gave him 8 rounds. I gave Leonard 4. I could see 5, but there's no way in hell you could tell me he won 6 for a draw. So you guys can let me know down in the comments down below what you think. You know, this is a fight that people to this day, even what is it? 97, 2007. 31 years later, people are still arguing about this fights in boxing circles. So that's my take. Give me yours down below. Take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every gosh darn video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dingus. So until next time, take care, guys.